Welcome to Lash Science! Woot woot woot! I don't even know what episode this
Hello.
is because we're
We're
recording
like
them kind
recording
of.
out of order.
Yeah, we're recording out of whack right now, so it's
Yeah,
just.
it is what
It
it is. I
is
don't
what it
know.
is. Yeah. But,
But this episode, what we're going to go over is patch testing.
yeah,
Um,
which I think is super important because I will be 100% honest with you guys. I thought I knew how to do a proper patch test until I met you guys and realized, oh, that actually makes a lot more sense. I'm doing it wrong.
well,
So,
and the thing is the way that you were doing it was the way I was taught and the way my mom was taught.
mhm.
And so, we just kind of went with it. Um, but yeah, so then it was just kind of like trial and error. So this isn't something that we were taught. This is something that we teach now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's just like once you break down how it is that we do it, then you're like, oh, well, that makes sense.
And this can apply to both traditional and light curing lash adhesives, and I think
Yes.
it's something really important to cover because like we just talked about, a lot of people were learning wrong, which doesn't really and are performing it wrong, and it's just because they don't know any better. And
Yeah, it's nobody's
so
doing anything like maliciously or is like intending on doing it wrong so that they can mess
but
with
it's just going to help,
somebody's
yeah,
eyes.
your
It's,
patch tests be
it's
like more accurate.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so before we jump into that barrel of monkeys, um, announcements being August 9th and 10th, the masterclass in Vegas. How many times do I have to tell you guys about this masterclass before you'll
It's
sign
the
up?
last masterclass of 2025, you guys. The last masterclass of 2025. So if you want to get another certification, take another class in 2025, make it this one. Like, even if it's you don't want to learn light curing, that's fine. We can go over traditional. It's not just
Yeah, we
about light
cover both
curing.
because you have to have a thorough understanding in chemistry traditional adhesive chemistry before you can understand the complexities of light curing. That's just how it works because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you're not going to be able to, because light curing chemistry builds on traditional. So if you're
Exactly.
lacking that base foundation, you can't build on it. You're going to struggle. So it's just kind of one of those things. It's kind of like math in school. Like if you couldn't 2 plus 2, how are you going to do algebra? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Which I can't do
So
algebra, so
I can't do pre-cal. I didn't mind
I
algebra. Algebra made me feel smart because I was like, "Ooh, it looks like this, so I do this, and
I
this." I
can
didn't have any
do I
problems with
can
algebra.
do chemistry math. If it involves chemicals, I can do it.
I hated chemistry math,
I
which is
love chemistry
ironic,
math.
but that's
But
okay. That's
otherwise
why
I
we're the
need it.
perfect team.
Yeah, because otherwise I need a calculator for
Yeah,
everything.
I love to meet one of those big olds. That's like I saw this meme the other day that was like to all the teachers who said, "Well, you're not going to be walking around with a calculator in your
I know.
pocket as an adult." Beach. Yeah,
Yep,
I do. Yeah, I
exactly.
am. So,
um so
anyways,
yeah. So if you do want to get some moolah off of the class, you can use code Lash Science Pod. And that gives you 15% off of course. And the master class is $6.99, so 15% off of that is actually quite a lot.
mhm.
Quite. Super good deal. You get a really good kit. It's 2 days like packed full of just information. Yeah.
Yay! Next order of business is the Opal Educator course. I feel like I don't know. Maybe we'll stop talking about this soon because
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've said it like every time, but and then
Yeah,
also the Lash Science Pod will go toward that if you wanted to take the educator course, which is in December in Dallas.
yeah. The master class in August is in Vegas. And then last order of business, LashCon, October 11th through 13th. You can get $100 off your ticket with code ANNE 100. And if you just, I mean, it's like Be There, Be Square. It's literally the
Yeah.
coolest,
Yeah.
funnest, most
My mom's going to
educational
be
event of the
Oh
year,
yeah.
really.
My mom's going to be teaching a class on light care, and I want to say it's the only light care class this year so far that I've
Hmm.
seen.
I was gonna say
So
I've
far.
looked up and down at those speakers and
Yeah.
nobody's speaking on light curing, and I was like, "Oh, good thing we have our
Yeah.
class."
Yeah. So, and my mom's way better at teaching than I am. Like way better.
I think you're pretty good at teaching.
I think it's because I don't like
You're just a yapper. You like yapping, but like
I
teaching
love
is
to
hard.
talk. Yeah. I'm like, just listen to me talk. That's why we have podcasts.
Right? I'm excited for your mom's class. I do think
Yeah.
we're gonna have to make sure she stays on
Oh yeah,
track
we're gonna
because
have to
you're.
keep her on track.
I feel like your mom's even a little bit worse than us about dirt roads and jumping ahead. Like we'll be during master classes, and I'm like, "Hey,
I know. We're like, shh, we
wait,
haven't got
we're
there
getting to
yet.
that. We're getting to that."
I know. She'll be like, are
And
we gonna talk about? I'm like, yes,
it's literally
stop.
on the next page. Well,
Yeah,
we love her.
yeah, we love her, but damn, mom. So yeah.
So, anyways, we'll have a big old booth, lots of fun, unveiling a new secret revolutionary product. So, you're really going to want to be there because it's going to be the talk of the town.
Oh
We're going to
yeah,
ruffle some
for sure.
feathers and we're excited about it. And if you remember from last 2 episodes ago, where I was like, we need bodyguards, we do. So, bodyguard applications are still open.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
It's unpaid.
Because,
You have to
woof.
buy a
Yeah,
ticket.
sorry. Yeah, you gotta buy
Sorry.
a ticket, and then if you want to come to Disneyland with him, so you also have to buy a ticket for that.
But you're more than welcome to be our bodyguard for free. We
Yeah,
really appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah. Thanks.
Okay, anyways, that concludes announcements. Quick drink tour today. What you got? You drank half of it
I
waiting on me
have
because I dilly dallied.
well, I got it this morning, so it's kind of old. It has no more ice in it, but it's an iced Golden Eagle from Dutch Bros with banana soft top. Banana.
Mmm. Nummy, nummy, nummy.
Mm.
I got me a nice Red Bull that I waited to crack again.
Oh, yes.
My tweaker juice that I'm only allowed to drink like a
My
quarter of this or
tweaker
I'm
juice.
flying off the walls. It's honestly 2:30. I really shouldn't be drinking this, but
Damn
I just spilled.
it.
This is why we're not allowed to have drinks here. Good grief. Good grief. Okay, moving on. It's sugar free, by the way. I don't do none of that full sugar Red Bulls. Those are
Oh,
just too
dude,
sweet
I
to me.
need all the sugar. I love sweet.
I'm not, I know sugar free drinks aren't really that good for you because it's just replacing like sugar cane with chemicals, but I just don't like the flavor of the OG Red Bull. And I don't like the
Yeah.
flavor of the flavored Red Bulls. They all just taste like Kool-Aid. And I'm like,
Dude, do you know what let me tell you how much I love sugar. When I I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but when I was younger, I
it
used to
can't be
go
worse than
into
barking.
I don't know if it's pretty bad. So I would go into the cabinet where my mom had like all the sugar and flour and powdered sugar and stuff, you know? And let me tell you how much powdered sugar on a spoon slaps. Like I would literally like
Okay, but
spoonfuls
I
of
do that
powdered sugar.
currently when I bake cookies. If it's brown
Yeah,
sugar, after I've added the right amount for the recipe, that spoon's going back in the bag to take a scooping heap, and it is my snack.
yeah, but like it was just a snack. I wasn't doing anything. I was literally going into the cabinet and having multiple spoonfuls of powdered sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah. And my mom would be like, are you on the sugar again? I'm like, no.
Powdered sugar's crazy because I'm assuming you came out of the pantry as a kid, face full of powdered sugar,
Yeah.
and
And I
your
would have
mom's
like
probably like,
powdered
my
sugar on my
freaking.
front. Yeah.
She's
She's
like,
like,
my freaking
did you
little
have
drug
powdered sugar?
addict.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, what?
Narcos
Mm-mm.
who?
Yeah. So that's how much I love sugar.
I do love sugar.
Anyway,
Sugar.
I love sugar.
Um, okay. So
On to patch tests.
Let's start off by talking about what is a patch test and when a patch test is needed. So,
Hmm.
what is a patch test? A patch test is basically going to be like a mini replication of everything that you are doing in the lash service on a smaller scale to test if your client is going to have like any contraindications, whether that be she's just, whatever her symptoms may be. They may be itchy, they may be swollen eyes, they may be red eyes. The eyes only have so many tricks,
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
they can get
do
red, watery,
developed,
itchy, swollen.
yeah,
Like,
contact dermatitis, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be.
mm-hmm.
So your goal with a patch test is to you're low key trying to trigger that reaction
Yeah.
because, and obviously, the reaction is going to be like much smaller
Mm-hmm.
than it would be if you did a full set, of course.
Right.
And we'll get into that in a minute. But did I kind of cover that? Do you have anything to
Hmm.
add to
Yeah,
that?
pretty much. No, I do make sure, like how you said, you're trying to give them a reaction.
Yeah,
I I won't do saline, I won't do hypochlorous, I won't do eye drops, I try to make it like the most basic,
bland.
just like yeah, just primer and then adhesive. Like,
Basically, just the chemicals. I do the
yeah.
lash bath solely because I don't know, in case someone's weird about the lash
Well,
bath, but that's me.
e- yeah. I mean, I could see doing one before, but I don't want to rinse after. I don't want to rinse away
Oh yeah, yeah,
anything
yeah, yeah.
because I'm trying to get them to react. I'm trying to make the worst case scenario in that patch test so that I can see like if they are going
Mm-hmm.
to react. And then when they come for the service, like, and I do hypochlorous and saline and eye drops and all that stuff, like, then I know that they're going to be fine because all that stuff is very,
Mm-hmm.
bland and is not going to cause an issue. Um, so yeah, so that's what a patch test is. Um, and I
When
know,
should people do a patch test? That's a great thing we need to talk about.
yeah. Do you ever do patch tests? Like, how often do you
So
do them?
I honestly don't do them that often, but I
I
honestly
don't
don't get a
either.
lot of new clients. I actually do require patch tests on anyone who's had any previous reactions with lash
Me too.
extensions. I
Me
don't
too.
care if it was just itchy eyelids one time and it never came back again. You've
Yeah.
had some sort of irritation while wearing lash extensions. In my policies, you're required to book a patch test. I don't charge anything for a patch test. It's totally free. It takes like 30 minutes of my day max. If because like the actual patch test itself maybe takes 10 minutes. Otherwise, it's like 20 minutes of me explaining to them why we're doing the patch test,
What
what
they
we're
need to
looking
look
for,
for. Yeah.
etc. Yeah. So I will say, like, people who've had previous reactions need patch tests for sure, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. I
Yeah.
also like recommend, like, recently I did a patch test for a bride the week she came the week before her wedding and did a patch test, and then the week of her wedding came for a full set. Now, if I would have known she was a bride, I would have recommended, like, hey, let's do a patch test a month in advance and then we'll do your full set, and then you
And
can
then we
come
can
in
do
for
a
your
fill.
refill before your wedding. That way, if there's anything you want to tweak, we have a window to do that, because
Exactly.
bridal lashes are always like,
Dude,
uh
they give me anxiety.
you know what I mean? Because I'm like, girlfriend,
Especially
these
when
are on
it's
your
somebody
face
new.
in pictures.
Yeah.
You have to look at these pictures for the rest of your life. It's not like, oh, I'm going on vacation in these lashes. Like, oh, okay, you'll go on lots of vacations in
Yeah.
your life, but your wedding?
Yeah. Like, woof. Yeah, that always freaks me
So,
out. So yeah, I'm the same. I only require a patch test if they have previously had a reaction. So I
mm-hmm,
always ask, like, have you had lash extensions before? And if they say yes, then I say, okay, have you ever had any type of reaction, redness, swelling, itching, anything like that. If they say no, then I don't make them get a patch test. If they say yes, then I explain, okay, so I'm actually going to have you come in for a patch test just because I don't want to get the full set on and then later find out that it's because you have an allergy or a sensitivity. And then we're just going to make that worse.
I will say I also do patch tests on like new clients who've never had lash extensions
Mm-hmm.
before. I go through a bunch of questions with them. If they've had any issues with like any sort of glues in their life, whether it's like a
Mm-hmm.
super glue or anything like that,
Yeah,
and they've
liquid
had
stitches, like
y- yeah,
things
they
like
should they
that.
should kind of know. So it's definitely questions that I people are like my booking website, it's literally like you cannot click book this appointment until you check one of those boxes that say whether or not you're allergic to this thing.
Yeah.
And then the next question after that is you understand that if you checked yes to the last box that you need a patch test 72 hours before your full set. And then
Yeah.
they have to check that box too because like we don't play around patch tests, please.
No.
And it
Mm-mm.
also like protects me as a lash artist because don't waste my time by booking a full set. We come in, we do your consultation. I'm like, well, damn. I was expected to make $200 from this set today, and now I blocked off 2.5 hours, and we're really just doing a 30-minute patch test for free. And I could have actually gotten a full set or a refill after you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I highly recommend adding those things to your um
Policies or booking
yeah,
sites
policies,
and
booking site, whatever you have, or at least
yeah.
questions you ask. I mean, if you book through DMs, make that part of your regular like questions that you ask before confirming their appointment and all the things. Um I personally just recommend paying for a booking website. Mine, I use Acuity. It's $25 a month. It literally has all the questions and it takes all the ease out of please get out of my DMs and go book on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Love
Yeah,
you.
I have Gloss Genius. And
But I
Gloss
have
Genius, they can book
50
online
something
and
clients. I don't have time to text all
yeah.
of y'all all day and baby you. Go online, see what I
Mm-mm.
have available, pick the time that works for
Yeah,
you,
that's what
pick
I
the
do too.
service that you like, answer the questions. That way it walks them through all my policies, collects
Mm-hmm.
payment information. I don't have to do
Sends them
Zelle or
reminders, all that.
yes, it's just so
Mm-hmm.
much cleaner, and honestly, for $25, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, that's how much Gloss is too. I think it's 25,
Yeah.
which it's totally worth it. And you can write that 25 a month off because it's a business expense. So,
Yes, it is. It's software.
yeah.
So, oh, something else I want to talk about before I move on. I will say, because I recently had to go in and change this to my patch test because I don't pay much attention to my booking website anymore since I don't really get new clients that
Mhm.
often. Although recently I did, so I was like, well, let me go see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
My patch test was, do you have any allergies to latex, acrylic, or what's the other one that's really popular? I feel like latex was an old one that like we don't have latex and stuff anymore. But
Mm-mm.
maybe if you're a lash artist who lashes with gloves, that still might be a relevant question to ask
Mhm.
because your latex gloves would be all up on their face.
Mhm. Yeah. Unless you're using the polyurethane
Yeah.
or whatever they
I felt
are.
like there was another main one that we were like taught in school, like latex, acrylic. I feel like acrylic is acrylic and acrylate the same thing? No.
Yes and no. Like,
So maybe
I mean,
maybe
kind of.
maybe mine's acrylic, latex, and acrylates, or late, or maybe I
Yeah.
have it as glues or something like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
but mm,
Who
maybe take a
knows?
note from myself and switch it to client friendly words so they understand what
Yeah.
they're allergic to.
Yeah. Like, do you have any skin allergies or something
Hmm.
general like that? Because then they can start to be like, oh, well, this happens with this or whatever.
And realistically, while we're talking about this, like I also have intake questions that ask about do you have any eye problems, current eye infections? Because I ain't touching you if you have that. Please don't come to me. No, thank you, ma'am. Wait for that to heal, then you can book again. I will happily see you when your eyes are happy and healthy. But I
Yeah.
would say another prime time candidate for a patch test would be someone who, you know, glaucoma, any sort of eye disease, even if they just have super sensitive eyes from like recent
Well, if they have,
LASIK surgeries or
right, or if they have an autoimmune disorder, a
mhm.
lot of the time, if they get any kind of disruption to their body, their immune system goes into overdrive,
Yeah.
and just a regular corneal abrasion can turn into. I mean, I guess that's not regular, but it's something that happens and people it just goes away on its own. But like a little corneal
Their
abrasion could
symptoms are
turn
gonna,
into
like,
like a
blow up, like,
huge
10 times
issue.
worse. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess that would be another thing that if I went to change my booking website today, I would also add, like, do you have any because like, on my consent forms, there's questions that ask that, but I've already sent them consent forms when they're, like, on their way here.
Mhm.
So, I feel like that would be a good pre-booking question to determine whether or not they need a patch test because technically, even if they just have, like, really sensitive eyes or severe dry eye syndrome or like my mom, for example, I would do a patch test on my mom because my mom gets chronic contact dermatitis just from like allergies. Like
Yeah.
she is not a makeup girly. She really doesn't do much. I mean, doesn't have a crazy skincare routine. She just allergy prone, and where it
Yeah.
shows up is in she gets like, you know how contact dermatitis when it's like starting to heal, it feels like dry skin. It almost feels like rough.
Mhm.
That's how she gets on her eyelids sometimes.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
So I
she
bet
would
those would all be
definitely,
good.
yeah, good questions to ask and good things to touch on because
Yeah.
yikers. Um
Moving on.
Okay, so the way that I was taught originally how to do a patch test is to do black adhesive on one eye and clear adhesive on the other, which now I know that is completely freaking ridiculous.
It's
Because
funny because
carbon black is not the problem, you guys.
no, carbon black is in mascara. Most likely your clients are coming to you to get lash extensions because they're tired of wearing mascara.
So
We
they've
also
already been
feel like
wearing it.
I
Like,
also feel like majority of the people nowadays have a tattoo, and tattoo ink is carbon black, and that's literally sitting up underneath their skin. That was like
yeah,
needle embedded into their skin, and
yeah,
that's not going to be
yeah.
the issue.
No. Um, and then I was taught to just do like two or three, like
I
around,
I was
like,
taught somewhat similar, not the whole like black and clear thing, but
yeah,
I feel like I don't even remember going over this in lash school, to be honest. So
yeah,
maybe this was just something I picked up from Instagram or just kind of like I don't know, trial and error was like, well, I guess this is what you do kind of thing, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But
exactly.
I like did both eyes and I did kind of what you did. I wouldn't do like 2 or 3. I feel like I would do like 10. And so I would do like 10 lashes on each eye, all spread out,
Hmm.
and would be like, "Okay,
Yeah, they were just like, okay,
done."
do two or three classics, clear on one eye, black on the other to see like if you need to use a clear or
I really wonder, dirt road quick, if that clear versus black, that whole myth, did it come from misinformation and
I
uneducatedness,
mean,
or did it come from manufacturers wanting to push 2 adhesive sales on a lash artist every month? Because
mhm.
most lash artists like to work with black adhesive, but you should buy a new clear adhesive every month. That way you have it just in case you have a sensitive client. Because now
Yeah,
you're
no.
buying 2 adhesives every month instead of 1. So I'm really curious as to where the intentions were behind that, or whenever that myth came along. That's what I'm curious about.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Um, so yeah, so regardless of whether you're doing clear on both, black on one, clear on the other, doing two eyes during a patch test is silly. And let me tell you why. If you are lashing both eyes, putting like 10 and 10, 10 on one eye, 10 on the other, and they have a reaction, which is going to be mild because, like I said, you only put 10 lashes there.
Mhm.
You're not going to be able to tell because both eyes are going to look the same.
And this made so much sense to me because you were the one to explain that to me, and I was like, "Oh, like you almost need one eye as a control." If you guys remember
Yeah.
from science class in high school, anytime you did an experiment, you had you always had two, and you always had one that was the control, and it would just be like if you were taking, a beaker of water on each, right? And then this one you're adding, something special to it, but you always had one beaker that just sat there of just
Mm-hmm.
water. And
Yeah, because you
that
want to be
way
able to have your control.
control,
Yeah. So, yeah, one eye is your control,
it's basically like your
basically.
base, like
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
one that you refer to.
Yeah, so
So it
when they
makes
come in
sense.
for yeah, so when they come in for a patch test, you pick whatever eye it's going to be, right or left, it doesn't matter. If say, okay, you pick the right eye, do not touch their left eye at all.
Yeah.
Don't put eye drops in it, don't put saline on it, don't put primer, nothing. Do not touch it.
I
And
always ask them, I'm
10,
like, okay, which eye do you want to do? Left or right?
yeah. Yeah, like
Because they're the one
cuz
I ain't touching.
cuz yeah, cuz you got to just do one so that if they do have a very minor reaction, you will be able to tell the difference because if
Mm-hmm.
10 lashes is not enough. I think that you should do more like 15 lashes on one eye and like concentrated in one area. You want them all to be in one spot so that you can see where that you want to create a
That's almost
bigger
like a baby
potential
full set
reaction. Yeah.
right in that concentrated area instead of
Yeah.
spreading them out throughout the lash line just might not be enough. But if you have like a small concentrated area and like
Mhm.
when I do my patch test now, I use like the smallest lashes I can find. So I think the
Me
last girl,
too.
she had really long natural lashes. So I did 8 millimeter brown classic lashes on her. So you couldn't even
Mhm.
tell that they were on there. Cause obviously, like, I'm not going to put
Yeah.
like black 15s and she's going
Right.
to have like one large wispy walking around for
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can make it super convenient for your client, and I
Yeah.
personally just like to use classics because they're easy to pop
Me
off,
too.
especially the round ones. That way
Yeah.
you're not worrying about, like, accidentally wrapping some point oh 0.03s or smaller
Because you
diameters.
you only need them on there for a few days. Also, I was taught to wait 24 hours, and after 24 hours, if they haven't reacted, then they're good to go, which is silly.
Yeah.
um, because if you're using a traditional adhesive, that baby, if you're not using a bonder, is taking 72 hours to fully polymerize. So if the fumes are what they're sensitive to, have fun with that
Mhm.
because you have not even seen the full effect of what's going on. So wait 72 hours, one eye,
Yeah.
do 10 to 15 in a very concentrated area. Do not touch their other eye at all. Don't put anything on it.
And you never put adhesive on the skin. That's one of the other
No.
patch tests I always saw is, like,
Yeah, they're
people
like, put it
I've
on their
heard of
wrist,
the
put it on the back
wrist,
of
I've
their
seen,
ear.
yeah, the ear, I've seen in the crease of the elbow, like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
now you're just inviting them to have contact dermatitis. That's like you
Yeah.
going into the nail salon for a patch test and they paint behind your ear with nail polish and leave it uncured. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like it's
It's like no dir.
it's yeah. Ner.
So, and
Yeah.
this is not shaming anyone who's done any of these
No,
because
because
and that's why we're
I
making this
we
video.
were
We were
taught
all taught
this.
wrong, and then when
Yeah.
we learned the right way, we were like, "Oh my gosh, that makes
Yeah.
so much more sense."
You get a way
Um,
more accurate read if you just do one
mhm.
eye
In a
on the
small
lashes
concentrated area, try and do like a
and wait.
cluster of
Yeah.
15, 20 lashes. I also was like
Yeah.
heavy-handed AF with the glue
Me too.
and was like really going to town even if they had like a little glue bead on them. I was like, it's okay, I'm gonna pop these off. But
Mhm.
I really want a strong concentration of
Yeah,
glue
we
in that area like it would be if it was a full set. So if she's gonna have a reaction, that little area of her lid might be like red, she might be itchy right there. She would know. Um,
yeah. And then when you do reach out to your clients, so like I'll reach out to them at like 12
the 20,
hours
yeah, I
and then
reach
at
out about 24.
24 and then at 36 and just kind of like check in and just be like, "Hey, how's everything feeling? Do you feel any sensations at all?"
You know what I told my bride last time I did it that I was like, "Oh wait, that's kind of smart." Was I told her, I said, "I want you to get in the car as soon as you go downstairs today. I want you to take a picture of your eyes looking at the camera. I want you to do it again tomorrow morning when you
Mhm.
wake up. Compare the two. Do they look the same? Do they look different? And then I
Yeah.
want you again tomorrow night. Take another picture." But that way you have like literal pictures in your camera roll side by side
Yeah.
for them, because the reaction would be so small. So that way it even gives
Yeah.
you like comparison to see like when exactly did she blow up, because it might even be something as minor as like minimal swelling that you can't tell until you're like literally looking at them back and forth.
Yeah.
But that minimal swelling for a patch test, if you do a full set, might turn it into
Gonna be
full blown boom.
huge. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah,
now it's
so
going to be
and I think that that was always a thing that I was waiting for them to like blow up, you know? And then when they didn't, it was like, "Oh, so they're fine." So then I would do their full set and I'm like and then they blow up and I'm like, "Um, oops. What?"
just emails, bro, emails.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, I'm sorry I wasn't listening. I was distracted by the email because I was like, "Ew!"
I know I
I
saw
didn't
that
get
come
the
through
answer that I
too.
liked. I was like, "Eh."
Yeah, I saw that one come through too.
So as far, I know it's 2:58, so that means it's 1:58 for you.
Yeah, I
Do
have
we
2
need to wrap
minutes.
up?
Yes.
Okay, Olivia's got a client. So this is a shorty episode for you guys. Congratulations.
Mhm.
You'll get to hear us yap all day. As far as patch test things that we've covered, I mean, ooh, here's one real quick. Um, what to do if there is a reaction? Me personally, I will not lash a client if there's a reaction. Like, I'm sorry, sister gal, I just don't think you'd be a great candidate. I mean, depending upon the reaction, I mean, yeah, no. I mean, if they're having a reaction to something that small, they're not going to be able to get a full set. It is what it is. I'm so sorry. um this just currently is not for you. I'm so glad we did this because you would be in a lot more pain if we did a full set. And
Yeah.
because the last thing that I want is to have a client blow up with a full set. Now they're so swollen and in pain that I can't get the freaking lashes off. So now you just got to sit at home and be in pain for 3 days all swollen. And that takes time out of
Mhm.
clients' lives. Like, they got to stay home from work. A lot of, I mean, because I would stay home from work. I'd be like, "Look at me, I ain't going to work. I'm not
Yeah.
running errands. I have
I'd be
to
like, I
stay
look like
freaking home."
Quasimodo. I can't be
Yeah,
here.
stay home and ice my face for 2 days.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing. It's okay to tell a client, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you're not a good candidate for this." And they should honestly respect that and not really be mad, because you're coming from a place of prioritizing their health.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you normally don't really get any objections to that.
Yeah, not
Do not
really.
recommend if they're like, "I can put floaties on my eyelids. I can take Benadryl.
No.
I can put cortisone cream on." No,
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 baby
no,
girl.
no, 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 because one day those things will not work. Now you're going to be 10 times worse, and you've just put a bunch of unnecessary steroids on your eyes that are putting you at
Yeah.
risks for even more other health problems.
Yeah.
So it's just a big old no-no. The last thing I want to talk about before Olivia has to leave is that An important disclaimer is that a negative patch test, I want you to clearly emphasize to your clients, does not mean that they will have no reaction to a full set. And
Yeah.
that is something I always heavily emphasize, is because you could do a patch test, everything seems totally fine, and then you do a full set and they have a reaction, and that's
It's
just part
kind
of it.
of like a condom.
I mean, continue. Please explain.
Okay, because yeah, using a condom can protect you against pregnancy and diseases, but it also might not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just an extra like little bit of protection so that so that you and your client are aware like okay, we're probably good,
I
but
mean,
they need to be aware that there is a chance that they still might not be. Like,
it like you said, it's kind of taking that gamble. If you want to go
yeah,
diddly someone who's got something going on, you,
by
on
all
some
means.
level, even if you use a condom, are inheriting that risk of
Yeah.
contracting whatever's going on. Rather, and the
Yeah.
only way to not have that risk is to not get them done.
Yep.
Is to not go diddly. No diddling. That is
That's the moral of the story. Don't
that is the
either
moral of
don't
the
diddle
episode. And
or
cut it.
diddle and
We're done.
no.
No diddling.
No diddling.
Sorry, that's the title of this episode. But anyways, I mean,
Oh,
there's no
jeez.
way to fully replicate the amount of chemicals that are on a client's eyes during a full set without doing the
Without
full
doing a
set.
full set. Yeah.
So that's just something that you do have to emphasize to them, and that if they are, something might happen. That way they're not, you don't do a full set and they're like, "What did you do to me?" And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Nothing.
know, nothing. I
Yeah.
didn't do nothing wrong.
So,
So I
all
feel like
right.
we covered everything. You
Yeah.
gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Love you guys. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, drop it down in the chat below. Um, like,
Follow.
subscribe. If you enjoyed
Give
more
us your
short episodes like this,
questions.
yeah, let us know, because we do be yapping. But if you guys prefer shorter episodes, then maybe we need to shut the hell up and record short episodes.
I can't. I love to
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, we could talk about this longer. But, anyways,
Yeah.
love you guys. And hopefully, this helps someone who is doing a patch test wrong. So that way you
Yeah.
can better your business and do it the right way. Okay,
Yes.
bye.
Okay,
Love
bye.
you.